Hi. So we're continuing the overview of chapter 9. This is kind of the big picture stuff. Here's the graph that we just looked at on Desmos that you should have written down in your paper. It has these two x-intercepts of -1 and 3, a y-intercept of 6, and a vertex at 1, -8. And what we talked about in the Desmos video that preceded this is we have y minus k equals a times x minus h squared. That creates a parabola because it's squared, whereas it used to just create a v for an absolute value sign, or it doesn't, it just creates a line if you don't even have that square or anything on it. And we have hk as the vertex, and we call this vertex form. We call this vertex form. Now, just like in a line where we had three forms to deal with, three forms, we're going to have three forms to deal with for parabola as well. So this first one is called vertex form because you can read the vertex, hk, right out of the equation. So here's the equation that we're actually working with. Y plus 8 equals 2 times the quantity x minus 1 squared. And there's the 1, a negative sign. Remember, everything's opposite here. So -1 actually means that our x value is 1. There's our vertex, our x value is 1. And plus 8 means the y value of our vertex is -8. Now, the other thing that I wanted to remind you of is just like with the absolute value, we have domain and range to deal with here. So domain in this case is some values of x such that x can be any real number because we can put any value of x into that equation and get some value out. And the range here, just like with the v's, the range here looks like it's all the values that are greater than the y value of the vertex. So some y values such that y is greater than or equal to -8. Now, if the parabola was upside down, we'd still want to look for the vertex to find the range value of the domain. It's just like what we did in the fall. Okay. Now, I want to also show you another form called standard form. And in order to get the standard form, we're just going to multiply this out. We're going to multiply this out and get y by itself. So let's first deal with the x minus 1. I'm going to work in a different color. We're going to go to standard form. I'll work in green. So y plus 8 equals 2 times, let's see, x minus 1 times x minus 1 is x squared minus 2x plus 1. Then we have to distribute the 2. Y plus 8 equals 2x squared minus 4x plus 2. And then we also have to move the 8 over. So y equals 2x squared minus 4x, and then minus 6. Okay, now in this form, let me rewrite it again to make it clear because it's not, I wrote down an 8 when I didn't mean to. Minus 4x minus 6. Okay, so this is called standard form. Now, it's called standard form because the terms are in order, right? We've seen standard form before. We call this a, the coefficient of x squared. We call this b, the coefficient of x, and we call this c, -6, the constant. So the standard form. Now, in standard form, notice that the a value here is the same as this a value here, all right? That still controls how narrow or wide the parabola is, and it also controls whether it's flipped over the other way or not, right? Whether it's upside down. The 6 shows you the y-intercept. It's always going to show that because when you put in 0 for x, these two terms go away. So in standard form, you can see the y-intercept very easily. All right, so that's a nice thing. Now, the other thing that happened here when we converted from vertex form to standard form, there's something that we did that created this 4 right here. Notice that the value of the vertex, the x value of the vertex, the 1, got duplicated. It got doubled when it got into the middle here, right? And then in order to get to the 4, it got multiplied by a, right? So if we want to go from this 4 and find the x value of the vertex, we need to divide by a and have the number. So we really need to divide by 2a. So from standard form, the x value of the vertex is equal to this value, which we always call b, divided by this value, which we call a, and we have to divide it by 2. So 2a. Now, if we do that, if we take -4 and we divide it by 2 times 2, we divide it by 4, we get -1. So we actually need a negative sign as well. We need an opposite sign as well. Now remember, this also is the opposite of what we think it is. So that's where the negative comes from. And there we have two things that we can find out from standard form. We can find out the y-intercept easily, and if we take -b divided by 2a, we can also find out the x value of the vertex. All right. So next video is going to go over another little nuance. And again, I'm just doing it and giving you an overview of the chapter here. Okay? So we'll see you in a little bit.